Welcome to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be doing our first Unit 1 photo assignment for New York Institute of Photography. And today, like we mentioned in last week's video, I'll put a link up there if you haven't had the opportunity to watch last week's video. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing basically creative shutter speed and creative aperture. Went to a spot early this morning where there is historically a waterfall, and the waterfall ain't working. That was going to be what we was going to do for the blurred motion, and that's just part of the fun of being a photographer. We're going to be given ideas of things that we want to try to do and make happen, and sometimes there's a little kink in the system, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to continue on, and we're working on our photo assignment today. I went to another location, and as you can see, I'll kind of step out of here. But part of one of the assignments as far as the aperture goes and using your depth of field, we're going to turn around and we're going to take some pictures of this. And I really think with this alley here, going across this pond into the other side of the pond, you can actually see all those trees. And I think it'd be a really cool picture. Where we can extend our depth of field and see the trees in focus that are all the way up close and all the way out to the very back. Now the idea and the way you'd want to do this using your aperture so that we can get everything to stay in focus, and we're going to go up with a higher aperture, which is going to be like f16 or maybe f22. And we're going to try to get all these trees from the foreground all the way to the back, across the back of that pond, and focus, if you will. Now, when you do that, you're going to have to lower your shutter speed down a lot. If you remember, when you're using that f16, 1/16 of a cup of water, like we talked about in last week's video, that light's coming in real slow. So here's where a tripod's going to be extremely important. Right now, the camera that we're recording this video with is mounted to the tripod. So what I'll have to do, I may be able to set up the camera maybe in a different spot to where you can kind of see me using the tripod and using the Rebel XT for the photo assignment, but that's what we're going to work on first. We're just going to work on depth of field using our aperture and try to get all these trees in focus from front to back. Do the best job we can, and then there's a little trail here that kind of veers off to the right. I think that might be fun if we get down and get a real low perspective. And maybe we can get that trail all the way from as close to the camera as we can and focus all the way to the end of the trail or where it curves out of the frame. I think that might be fun too, just good practice. And that's the biggest deal. Guys, we're out here having fun. This is so much fun. It's a challenge yourself. So let's go ahead. I'm going to take a couple of pictures of this real quick, and then we're going to move on. Couldn't find my glasses. All right, so I had this set up, and that'll be something we'll work on later. But I had this initially set up. If you guys really want to get a lot more out of your digital Rebel or your low pixel count camera, there's a couple of things we can do, and it's going to be more of an advanced lesson. But one of the things is think about HDR. I know a couple of the guys that are in our group. Speaking of group, I need to let you guys know we do have a group started up. That way, if you want to participate with these NYIP challenges or the challenges that we do together here on the channel, it's called Inspired by You. And I'll put a link down below. It's a Facebook group. But we've already got like 65 or 70 people over there on that group. You guys, we'd love to see you come over. It just makes it a little bit more fun and a lot more personal. You can post your images up there, and we can all just have a good time doing that as well. So that'll be something that's going to happen. The group's already started, and I'm officially inviting you right now. We're going to move on. We're going to go do this other trail that I was telling you about and keep on working with our Aperture. I know you guys are gonna think I'm a dork, but I'm looking back here behind me and I'm thinking, man, how beautiful is that? That might actually make kind of a fun photo with me just walking my normal pace, put it on a 2-second timer delay. Again, the camera's on the tripod, and using a remote, setting it up on a 2-second timer and or a 2-second shutter speed, and just see what happens, because I think it's going to be kind of fun. Well, we'll post them up anyways, whether we turn them in or not. It'll just be something fun. All right, guys, in the spirit of trying to keep this video from going way too long, we've got half the assignment done. In my mind, we've done the slow shutter speed. I'm going to go ahead and submit one of those 2 images. I want to show you both of them and let you guys vote and tell me which one you'd submit. But that basically is a creative way using your shutter speed. And you may be asking yourself, Dale, that's kind of goofy. Why in the world would you do that? Well, I got 2 real quick stories or scenarios. Number one, I started a YouTube channel a long time ago, and I rode around in Oklahoma, and I went to a lot of the different ghost towns. And I can tell you what I think would be really cool is you go to some of these ghost towns and do some of these slow shutter speeds, because you almost get that ghostly image, and you can kind of see it in the pictures that I'm showing you right now. And another person that I've seen in the past does it with, like, take a ballet dancer, for example, and you've got that beautiful spinning motion of, whether it be ice skating, maybe too tough, I don't know, maybe you could catch them in the spin or something to where they're not running across the rink. But there's some really fun, creative, beautiful ways you can use this, aside from, like I'm saying, doing a ghost town or something like that. It just kind of makes the image a little funner. And I'm not going to give anything away, because we do have some ghost towns that we're going to be going to here in East Texas, and we're going to be going to some abandoned buildings. And so don't be surprised if you don't see some images like that pop up. I just think they're fun. The second part of this, and that's one thing where I kind of want to break this video down and break it into 2 parts, is because this is really, really important, guys. And we're going to talk about tripods real quick. Number one, I'm not going to tell you what brand you need to go out and buy. But I'm going to spend a couple of seconds here and just kind of tell you my thoughts and express a few things for you. The camera that we're doing this video on right now, that tripod is, well, it's pushing 30 years old. And this tripod here is at minimum 15 to 20 years old. This tripod here, which is kind of on the outside of the edge, again, it's probably pushing 40 years old. This one was actually my father-in-law's, and he left it here for me when he passed, and I'm very, very thankful to have it. But what I want to say is you guys, when you're looking at a tripod, there's a lot of tripods out there, and here's what I'm going to say. Look at it as an investment and a tool that you're going to use for a long time. You can obviously go out and buy a cheap tool that's probably not going to give you the results that you want in the long run. And then secondary to that, you're going to end up buying another tripod, which is better if you don't buy a good one up front. Now, again, I'm not recommending any names. You guys can look at this tripod and probably figure out it's a Bogan. Almost all my tripods are either Bogan or Manfrotto, which is the exact same company. They started out Bogan, then Manfrotto bought them out, or vice versa, one or the other. I don't remember. But they're great tripods. They're going to last forever. And what you're wanting to look for when you're looking into a tripod, and I'll just kind of slide this one over here, you want to, number one, make sure it's heavy duty and it's not going to just collapse from, let's just say you are trying to get up from the ground or whatever else. You don't want your tripod moving. You also want to look at one that's going to be relatively easy to use. This one has quick connectors on it so that you can pull it in and out real quick and get it set up. You're going to see a lot of people with these cheaper tripods that are really short. This one goes up to almost 72 inches. I'm almost 6 foot tall, so I don't want to bend over if I don't have to. But as you guys know, I'm not afraid of laying down on the ground. And this one here, you can break down, and it's kind of cool. Let's see. Yeah. You can actually get this all the way down on the ground at level using this. And then of course, you know, you have to tighten it back up to keep everything from moving. This head that's on here is more like a video camera style head. A lot of people don't like them. I've been using one similar to this for over 20 years. I'm just used to it. The ball heads are much quicker for going from landscape to portrait, and they're really good if somebody's doing wedding photography where you're switching back and forth a lot. Even when I was a wedding photographer, this was my main go-to. This is what I'd put my main camera and body on. It's also heavy duty enough. If you end up buying a big zoom lens, you can mount your zoom lens to this, because your bigger zooms actually have a tripod mount on them. But you want something that'll hold at least 5, 8, 10 pounds. And I would look to that 5 to 8 pound range, because they're all rated. Now, your cheaper ones, I don't know what they're going to tell you. The biggest thing that I want to tell you about the cheaper ones is don't go cheap, and don't buy something that's cheap and then later on you're going to end up having to replace it. If you're planning on doing photography for a while, just go ahead, buy one, invest a little more money now, and it will last the rest of your life. I mean, this was my father-in-law's, and he passed it down to me, and it'll still be working when I'm gone, and I can pass it on to Jess. It's just a great tool. They don't upgrade these or whatever, like the cameras and stuff. It's not like you're going to have to buy a new one every year. Spend a little bit more money now. Save yourself, because one of the biggest mistakes that most new photographers have is blurry images. And if you'll put your camera on a tripod, you'll cut down 98% of the misses right there just from having your camera on a tripod. Again, guys, we're going to continue this video next week. I want to first of all say thank you if you've made it this far along to the video. Please, if you guys don't mind, comment down below. I'm going to throw the pictures up again, let you guys look at them. We'll number them 1 through 4 or whatever. Vote on which ones you would turn in for the photo assignment. And again, we will come back next week. We're going to finish up the photo assignment next week. But until then, click over and check out one of the playlists here. We'll list them up here, a link. You guys can go watch another video until next week. Again, we appreciate your likes, comments, and subscribes. May you have a blessed week. And let's go shoot some stuff.